So you literally went to China on the slow boat to China, is that right?
Yes, and this is the breakthrough boat that I sailed on, the RMS Canton with Richard Evans. It took 5 weeks to get there, and we stopped at all the important coaling stations that the British Empire used to have, through the Suez Canal, Aden, Penang, Singapore, and so on, ending up in Hong Kong 5 weeks later. Now, at every port of call, Richard was absolutely marvellous, because he knew somebody in every port, because he was 3 years older than me and had been in the Foreign Service 3 years longer than me, so he had lots of contacts all around the world. So everywhere we were met by somebody who took us to visit all the places. We actually rode camels ourselves. I remember that when we got to Port Said, I think. We went ashore and found a couple of men with camels. We both sat on them. There are photographs of us, I think, sitting on the camels. In Penang, we met a man who lived with a Chinese girl and kept a cobra as his pet. He took us up the funicular railway to see the Snake Temple in Penang.
What was the food like on the ship?
Excellent. We shared a cabin, one bunk above the other. We had in the hold all sorts of goods and things that we had to take, because we were going to be there for 2 years without a break. So we took all the things like blue paper, marmalade. Richard even took a shoe last so that he could put the shoe leather that we took to repair our shoes if we had to do that. And that was in the hold.
So how many trunks did you have then? You weren't travelling light.
No, we had each an enormous trunk and then various other things, crates of wine. So that when we got off at Hong Kong, it was very interesting, because Hong Kong was the Victoria Island was about half the size it is now. We stayed in the Gloucester Hotel, which has long since gone. It's now part of the harbour, because they captured all the land back. There was a lot of retrade of land. You could park in Pedder Street. You could park in the centre of Hong Kong. I remember going to the tailor and ordering 2 suits of clothes for £12, the equivalent of £12. So we kitted ourselves up with clothing in Hong Kong for the long journey to Shanghai by train, and by train from Shanghai to Beijing. It was there we met Madame Lien Chung, the one who she was caught by the Red Guards. She was the wife of the Shell manager. She wrote a book, a famous book.
Swans. Was it Swans?
No, it's not the Swans. It's Lien Chung's book on her life. She was in jail for about 7 years. And during that time, she was only released in 1972, I think as a present, when we exchanged ambassadors with China. Her daughter had died, having been savaged up by the Red Guards while she was in prison. And we had lunch with that lady in 1955 on our way to Peking in Shanghai. And I was astonished. Here you were in the Communist Revolution, in the bourgeois house, full of silver ornaments, pictures, servants padding around all over the place, silver chopsticks, beautiful food, a complete bourgeois set of life. And 6 years after the Communist Revolution, when 1 million people had died, I couldn't believe that the British community in Shanghai were living in this way. They played bowls every Sunday, they had tiffin, they went about in white shorts and had a very easy life with servants.
Like the 30s almost,
It was like the 30s, yeah. I just couldn't believe it.
And the revolution hadn't changed any of that yet.
No, because you see, they lived in, I think, one of the quarters, either the French quarter or the British quarter of Shanghai in those days. Long before the huge development in Pudong and Usui, it was Shanghai as it had been, again, as in the 30s. The Bund was exactly as it had been, the Shanghai Bank right in the middle and all these other Western buildings. The Consulate General had a huge compound, just like the compound I lived in for the first time in Beijing, which was the one the Boxers attacked. You could still see the bullet holes in the wall.
In Beijing?
In Beijing, yes, yes.
But the consul's place was the same size as the one in Beijing?
A compound as big as the one we lived in the legation quarter.
Okay, that's great. That's great.